So this happened quite a few years ago. I was probably 12 or 13 at the time, and was staying at a hotel with my parents, aunt, uncle, and a cousin who's a year older than I am, and thus 13 or 14 at the time. One night our parents decided to go get coffee together at the little cafe in the lobby of this hotel. Now it's important to know that this was one of those built hotels that was set up over a few buildings, which was a hallway set up outside the hotel, like a multi-story motel. You could access the halls by stairs on the corner of the buildings. The cafe my parents went to was several buildings away from the one where we were staying, but that wasn't a problem for my cousin and I, seeing as the pool was just downstairs. At about 8 o'clock, we texted our parents on our flip phone. On her flip phone, put on our bathing suits and went downstairs to the pool. Things were fine at first. We swam around and caught up on things that had happened at school with the boyfriend she'd broken up with. Eventually, we ended up just quietly floating on our backs watching the stars. Without looking over at my cousin, I said something to the effect of, "Wow, nice night, huh?" in a weird voice, hoping to earn a laugh when I heard a guy's chuckle, though. I sat up in the water really fast, my face quickly growing red. I hadn't noticed that I had floated away from my cousin and was now next to some guy. He was probably in his early 20s, and he offered me a friendly glance and an eyebrow raising. "Yeah, I guess it is." At 13, I was cripplingly shy, so I just gave a nervous laugh and hightailed it back over to my cousin, who promptly burst into laughter and started making fun of me, jokingly demanding if he was cute as he had laughed at the dumb voice I had made. I was too embarrassed to find the situation funny and stayed really close to her, not daring to glance back down to the other end of the pool where he was now sitting on the edge. My cousin, Lizzie, just moved on, chatting about the random things as we waded in the pool. She got progressively quieter, though, eventually playfully splashing me to get my attention. "Your new boyfriend is still watching us," she noted. And even though she was still grinning, her voice didn't sound quite so teasing anymore. I glanced over to where, sure enough, he was still sitting on the edge of the pool, watching us. She splashed me again. "Dude, don't pay him any attention. You may not know much about guys, but I do, and the trick is to just ignore them." She wasn't exactly wrong. I was homeschooled and didn't ever talk to any guys older than I was, and in my eyes, she was an expert on worldly wisdom. I watched her face, mimicking her, playfully splashing back. "Maybe we should go get Mom, or your mom, or something," I said as she shook her head. "No, let's just go back to the hotel room. I don't want my mom to freak out." That seemed like a good idea to the both of us. Her mom was kind of terrifying. When she was mad, "We can text her when we get up there." I nodded, moving and pushing myself out of the pool, grabbing our towels and shoes. She made some joke about what was going on, but I didn't hear it. The guy was standing up too, though he seemed to be pretty casual about getting his own things. When I looked back at her, her expression confirmed she had seen it, but she just kept putting on her shoes. I followed suit, walking close behind her when she turned to head towards the stairs. We began walking up them, both of us a little nervous, but trusting it was just a coincidence, until we heard footsteps behind us on the stairs. A brief glance down showed the same guy and just a flight behind us. Meeting my gaze with a little grin, he didn't seem drunk or high, at least from my sheltered perspective. "Lizzie," I said quietly, trying to alert her that he was so close. She was moving up the stairs faster now. "I know, let's go to the wrong floor. We can loop back around and then just go to our rooms. We'll call Mom once we get there," she promised. Seeing more strained, her pretty face screwed up a bit with anxiety. As an avid reader of mystery, it seemed like the best possible choice, so we got off 2 floors early and speed walked down the outdoor hall and around the corner. As we were out of sight, Lizzie grabbed my hand, taking off at a run and nearly jerking me off my feet. Before that moment, I had been legitimately scared, but fear is infectious. I squeezed her hand, keeping up pace as footsteps that weren't ours began echoing on the same floor we had chosen to loop around on. We whipped around the next corner and the next until we breathlessly found the stairs again and took them two at a time. It prompted a high-pitched squeal for Lizzie, who at this point was more dragging me along than anything else. I was scared out of my wits and practically paralyzed, tripping up the stairs and down the hall on our floor. She jammed the key into her room's door and pushed me aside, slamming the door and drawing the blinds as soon as we were inside. Bursting into tears as soon as the door was locked, I felt numb. She was crying more from adrenaline than anything, but after she had calmed down, she wasted no time picking up the phone and trying to call her mom, who didn't pick up, then my mom, who similarly didn't have her phone on. At the age of 12, it felt like we must have waited hours on our bed, hugging each other and shivering from still wearing wet bathing suit. We did end up calming down, though, offering each other quiet rationalizations of what had happened. Maybe we had just picked the guy's floor. Maybe he hadn't been trying to follow us. When you're scared, it's honestly surprisingly easy to eventually just believe things were all coincidence. Much calmer, we decided to go to do a really dumb thing. Go out to the car to get Lizzie's activity bag, full of snacks and her Game Boy. It seemed like an alright idea at the time, since we both believed it had just been a coincidence, and since we were both starving. We wrapped up in towels. She grabbed her mom's keys and her cell phone, and we made a plan at the hotel room door. We lock ourselves in the car if this guy comes back and call whatever numbers we can think of. If he appears, if he appears while we were walking back, we'd go to the lobby and find our parents. It seemed pretty foolproof to me at the time. Now just kind of a horror story, a dumb horror story. Nothing happened until we got to the parking lot in front of our building, when we hear a voice shout at us from one of the halls, "Hey girls, where the hell do you thinking you're going, cuties?" I looked behind us to where the creep was leaning on the rails on our floor. Lizzie gave some sort of unearthly screech and grabbed my hand again, dragging me along before I could get a better look. She yanked open the car door and dove inside as I tumbled after her, locking the car as soon as we were both inside. As soon as she caught her breath, she entangled herself from me and pulled herself into the back of the minivan, back into the furthest row and motioning for me to follow. I did so, hunkering down with her between the seats. I never felt like my own breathing was loud before, but as we lay there in dead silence, it seemed ungodly loud. Then tapping. I squeezed my eyes shut, not even wanting to know what he was doing outside the car, but the sound of tapping was unmistakable, like he was just drumming his fingers on the window. Lizzie pulled me tight, not moving, like he wouldn't be able to see us if he just held still enough. I don't know how long we stayed there, frozen in terror. I wasn't sure what was worse, the darkness of keeping my eyes closed, or what would it be like to look up and see him standing there. And just like that, he stopped, neither of us moving for another 10-15 minutes. I started crying, scared to death, Lizzie just holding deathly still until she began pushing me to sit up, hands rough. I realized what she was doing a moment later when I heard her dialing on the phone, and the sound of her mutual parents' voicemail. She didn't call 911. Maybe now that we're older we would have, but at 13, 911 was a number reserved for house fires and murders, not guys in their 20s following little girls to their cars. Dumb, right? We eventually ran out of the car and back to the hotel, slamming and locking the door and falling into a sobbing heap inside. When our parents did get back, they bemoaned not having their cell phones and soothed us, eventually convincing us that that guy was creepy. We hadn't been in any danger. I think they thought that was the truth, and honestly, it was what we all wanted to believe. Lizzie and I saw him a few times after that, mostly at night when he sat by the pool and offered us a little grin each time we passed. But we were always with our parents until we left the hotel. When he saw us packing our bags and leaving with our parents, he offered us this forlorn little wave that no one but me saw. Mildly's looked at me. See you later, cutie. I didn't tell my parents. It didn't seem worth it. It's not till now that I realize how creepy this guy really was, and while he could be just some harmless guy who thought it was hilarious to follow preteen girls around a hotel, I'm glad I never saw him again. So, long story short, let's not meet ever again, creepy pool guy. This happened in the summer, and I believe I was about 12 at the time. I was staying in a hotel in a fairly large city with my mom and my younger brother. We were visiting other extended family, but chose not to stay in their house. My brother is younger than me by a decent amount, so I was usually told to keep an eye on him. On the day we arrived, my mom told me to do just that while she checked us in and received our room card. So my brother and I sat on a couch in the lobby and relaxed a little bit. We were sitting we were sitting when a man in about his mid-40s walked into the hotel. The couch was facing the hotel door, so I got a good look at him. I remember that he was very average looking. Describing his features in detail should generate several different images. The guy comes in and sits on the couch opposite to ours. I didn't think anything of it until I realized that he didn't go up to the counter first. He just came in and sat down. It made me feel a little uncomfortable. I thought that he might have followed us in. Thankfully, my mom called us over and told us that our room was ready. We left the lobby and went to our room. Shortly afterwards, we left the hotel to go meet family. I forgot about the man for the rest of the day. We returned at about 7, and my mom told us that we could go swimming in the hotel pool. We all went to our rooms, changed, and went to the pool. A few minutes after we got into the water, the same man before walked in and sat down. He was wearing jeans and a sweater, so he definitely wasn't going swimming. Again, we didn't think much of it until I could see that my mom was visibly worried. She pointed him out to me, and she said that if he didn't leave within 5 minutes, we needed to go back to our rooms. 5 minutes passed, and he was still there, so we got our things and left. By then, it was close to 8. We had brought a rented movie to watch, so we planned to watch that and go straight to bed. I noticed that my mom was a little on edge because of the man watching us, and I got a little worried myself too. Halfway through the movie, my mom got up to get in the shower. While she was in there, someone knocked on the door and said, "Housekeeping," in a high-pitched voice. I thought it was weird and that the cleaning staff would come this late, but we needed another towel, so I answered the door. I wish I hadn't been so stupid. It was a creepy man. He gave me a smile and a little wave. I just stood there, kind of motionless. My mind automatically went to the worst possible situation: kidnapping, rape, torture. I heard the water in the shower turn off. He stood there as well for a moment, and then he spoke. "How was your swim?" At that moment, my mom came out of the shower, saw the man at the door, pulled me back, and slammed the door. She locked it, then called the front desk from our hotel phone to report the guy. I told her just to call the police, but she didn't listen. She then requested that we switch rooms. I then heard footsteps stomping down the hallway from a room. Thankfully, the guy had left. After that, we switched hotel rooms and didn't see the guy during our hotel stay. Hotel stalker, let's never meet again.